Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles. I'm going to talk about Disney. I'm going to talk about AI art. I'm going to talk about a Disney Lorcana artist being accused of using AI art, and the rumor going around the internet that he has been fired and blacklisted from Disney and blacklisted from Ravensburger. And he's denying it. He said, no, not only was my artwork not AI, but I have not been fired by Disney or Ravensburger. So this is part of a bigger discussion that has been ongoing, especially in the last couple of weeks, around AI art at conventions being used professionally. And I'm going to tell you, to be completely honest, there are several professional studios, companies, publishers that are actively using AI right now. You just don't know it because they're not telling you. The reason they're not telling you is because of the reaction that we've seen, right? That everybody is losing their damn minds over it and going on witch hunts. Now, several conventions after the Dragon Con debacle that we covered have come out and said that they're banning AI art. I think just in the last day or two, FanX said that they are going to ban AI art. I know GalaxyCon said they're banning AI art. And, this is right up there with that. This is the new NFTs. Remember how everybody was so ass mad about NFTs for a while? Like you weren't allowed to do anything with NFTs, and NFTs were destroying the environment. You don't hear anything about NFTs anymore. So, I think this too will die down as, I'm going to be honest, as this becomes the norm for content creation, that AI becomes part of the process for a lot of people. Eventually we'll just, memory hole all the outrage, and the people who don't get on board with it, chances are they probably won't be working in commercial art. They might be working on their own stuff, but, it's going to be part of the deal, right? Bob Iger. And the reason I have this article pulled up and not the Lorcana artist is Bob Iger himself in March said that Disney is going to go all in on AI. So I did find it kind of hard to believe that Disney would blacklist a guy for using AI to make his art when the company as a whole is going all in on AI art. So let's talk about this. Let's see if we can follow what's going on here. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. No woohoos today. It's not appropriate, with all this talk of AI. And man, people get so salty about this. They're so mad. And really at the end of it, when you push people, you press people on what their issues are, it really comes down to the fact that, especially at conventions, they feel like the AI artists are taking from their sales. And this actually happened right before I started recording. Geeky sent me a post from Facebook where they're making the announcement about FanX. And the guy that posted it was like, yeah, well, they're eating in the artist alley and whatever. And that's what this is really, at the end of it, all about. I mean, you can try to, and I understand people love AI, hate AI, whatever. But the witch hunts are about taking out your competition. They don't want to compete with somebody doing AI art because in a lot of cases, the AI art is going to be technically superior. I mean, it might not be human made, but you're talking about machines that have been trained on the entirety of human art. They're going to be pretty proficient in creating appealing art for the most part. Might be a few extra fingers here and there, or a couple extra rows of teeth or whatever. But no. But you know what I'm saying? It's like it really is a futile fight. And I think that rather than focus on what everybody else is doing, rather than trying to take down individual artists, really what you need to focus on as a creative yourself is, where is my place in this new world? And I think what's going on is that people don't want the world to change. And I'm not saying every change is good. I'm not, an AI apologist. A lot of people think I'm like, Clownfish wants everybody to lose their jobs. No, I'm just telling you the reality. As an old dog who has seen processes for creation change so many times in my lifetime. I've been watching the paper with the kids, which is excellent, by the way. So far, I love it. Now, I might be a little biased because I started out working for newspapers, but there's so much of that show that rings true with me in regards to how great newspapers used to be compared to the decimated state that they're in right now, if they're even around anymore, that they're running on, skeleton crews, and that the processes are basically just, dragging and dropping AP stories into the layout and all of that. That is so true. And this happened with pre-press, and this happened, back in the day. I swear I'm getting to the Lorcana thing here soon. I am. But back in the day, we had typesetters, and they used to actually set type with blocks of type and text, and that was the whole thing. And there was like a whole floor of the one newspaper I worked at where all these men would sit around and basically lay out the newspaper, and it was a full-time job for many, many, many people just to set the paper up to be printed. There's probably like 1,000 people working at the one newspaper I worked at. And then by the time I got there, there's maybe, 100, 200 people working there. And that was in the 90s. So now I don't even know how many people are left. But I'm saying, like, technology marches on. It doesn't always make things better. Sometimes it makes things sadder. But once the first domino gets knocked over, you can't change it. Even Tom Brevoort, Marvel Comics bigwig Tom Brevoort, admits that, like, there's nothing we can do. We can't put the genie back in the bottle. And I'm not saying you have to love AI art. You don't have to like AI art. You can get mad about AI art. But all I'm telling you is that it's not going to go anywhere. And eventually, I think these bans in Artist Alley will disappear because the companies that are producing the nerd content that fuel these fan events are going to be incorporating AI into their process. Marvel's going to be using it. I guarantee they're part of Disney. If they're not doing it already, I am hearing through the grapevine that several Marvel artists are already using AI. They're just not telling people. Now, they're not just doing, like grandma, like typing a prompt in the chat GPT. It's a little more complicated than that. But they're already using it to speed up their production. And it's going to become more and more the norm until eventually everybody just kind of accepts it. Like if you want to make comic books or you want to do animation, you're going to have to learn to work with it. And it is what it is, right? That's all I'm saying. So these witch hunts, though, are going to look like the same witch hunts that we had just a couple of years ago with the pandemic and the vaccines and the masking up and all that. And, this MFer paid for Twitter and this MFer didn't get their third booster and this. Yeah. And now you look stupid. And it's going to be the same thing. And I hate to be that. And this is coming from a guy. So look, on multiple fronts, I can relate to this because I, too, am a former licensed Disney artist. I did that for a number of years. I got to go to comic book conventions and sit in on panels. We did so much Disney production work. It's absolutely insane. And there were people that weren't real happy with me because I was doing computer color and I was taking jobs from people who were doing more traditional color because I was doing this in the early 2000s. I think I started. It was early 2000s. And a lot of the legacy Disney Comics people weren't that computer savvy. So people like me that were computer savvy got all the work. Didn't pay much, but we have like so much Disney Comics production work under our belts. It's insane. I mean, we had quite the little operation going there for a while, but yeah, I mean, Disney didn't care. At the end of the day, it's like whatever it takes to get it done and to sell as many books as you can. That's what we do. So here's the story. Here's the story as I understand it. There is a Disney Lorcana artist named James C. Mulligan. And at Anime NYC 2025, somebody came up to his booth, saw his work, and asked him if it was AI. This is the story I'm hearing. Okay. They asked him, and I gotta give a hat tip to Bounding in the Comics, by the way. That's where I found the story. So just, hat tip to them. They've got, his card art and stuff. They have more of the conversation out there. But yeah, they went up to his booth. They asked him if his stuff was AI. And he said, no, he actually uses Procreate, and he would show them how to do, how he does his process. And then this person's grandmother, I guess, bought a bunch of the art, and then the internet started picking it apart, right? So this is the original. This is the post that started all this. Toon MU. So this guy at Anime NYC blatantly lied to me about not using generative AI in his work, then scammed my mom. Okay, it's my mom. My mom off several $100s in prints. I asked him what his process was like and if he used generative AI or not, and he said he didn't. But I was just looking for AI because it's like an industry witch hunt to ruin people's careers. That is not untrue, though. I mean, look, we've covered this before. Again, you don't have to like AI. I'm not telling you have to like AI. I'm not telling you have to tolerate AI. You can say, hey, I don't want to use AI at all. I have a company. We don't want to use AI at all. I have a convention. You're within your rights. I own the convention. I don't want AI art here at all. But we're totally cool with, IP theft, but AI art, that's the line that we will not cross. And that's your right to do so, right? But it is getting ridiculous. We're seeing them accusing AI artists of having time travel. There was a source book, a D&D source book, and we covered that. It was from 2014, before generative AI, and they were accusing it of being AI because these people think they're smarter than the artists, and they're looking for every little thing now. Now, I guarantee you, if you go back and start digging into other people's work, especially if you're not that good of an artist, you're going to start finding things that you think are AI that actually aren't AI, little mistakes here and there. It's going to get harder and harder to tell. It's already hard to tell. That's why I'm telling you, as somebody who talks to a lot of people, most of these companies are already using it. They're just not telling you. And you're consuming product with generative AI, and you don't even know it because they've been using it for a year or two now. It's already become core to some companies' processes. And that's why, again, look at Wizards of the Coast getting rid of a lot of people. That's part of the reason why, because they're like, oh, yeah, we can just use some AI and just have, a couple of people oversee the bot farm and, make some tweaks to the AI art, and we don't have to pay artists, thousands of dollars per magic card or whatever. I'm telling you, it's already happening. But he is correct. Regardless of how you feel about it, it has become a witch hunt. Just like NFTs, just like vaccines. I mean, I know it's one thing is not quite the other thing, but it is. It has become a way to get rid of people from what you believe is your space that don't belong there. And the conventions were literally using vaccines and masking to get rid of the wrong kinds of people. And then it was NFTs. Now it's this. And next year it'll be something else. And really, it's fear. What is going on is these people are afraid that they're no longer going to be able to table an artist alley because the AI art is going to be better than their art, and they're going to get sold, get lapped, and they will. I mean, I'm sorry, normies who go to these conventions, they just want to print a Harley Quinn or Deadpool or whatever, and they're gonna spend their money on the best looking one, the one they think resonates with them. They don't care how it got made. Then the whole argument can be made that none of this stuff should be getting made at all because you're not the rights holder and you shouldn't be selling corporate IP characters at your table. And then if I would love to, here's the thing, I would love to see them put the ban on that. Some conventions do. You have to table with your own books or your own whatever. I think SPX, I don't think you're allowed to bring your Marvel prints or whatever to SPX. I would love to see more conventions be like, yeah, you're allowed to table an artist alley. You can bring your own art, has to be hand-drawn art, also has to be your own characters, has to be your own creation. You can't do endless, Deadpool and Harley Quinn prints. Sorry, even if it's quote unquote parody, it's still IP theft. I mean, if we're gonna play by those rules that you're not allowed to steal art, then I think you should ban all of it and see how long see how long it lasts. Anyway, so he told me he used Procreate, same software as me, and showed me his tablet. So they know better because, he uses Procreate and you use Procreate. Yeah. He pulled up the layers, which obviously showed that he drew the character, but the background was a copy and pasted in image on the bottom layer. Yes, and this has been going on forever. I'm like, just tell me you don't do a lot of production work. even manga, even older comics, they use Zipatone, skylines and photographs to save time. It's too hard to draw a New York City street scene, so you find a good photograph, you half tone it, you paste it in. This has been going on forever. Jim Steranko, see also several manga creators. This has been going on forever. But I mean, this is right up there with like before it was like, well, you're tracing from a 3D render. You need to be able to draw that highly detailed motorcycle from memory. You're using references. What's wrong with you? You're cheating. It's like, oh my God. Like this, look, at the end of it, somebody who's been doing this for a long time, I know that really what it's about is you spend more time on your stuff, you sell less, and you're angry about it. That's really all it is, right? I mean, I know that. And it does make you mad. If you, like we did webcomics for years, and I was spending like 10 or 12 hours on a page doing this like full color, fully painted, stuff. And other people were coming in with stick figures and they were getting way more views. Yeah, it makes you a little salty sometimes. It does. There are people on YouTube that put a lot more effort into their videos than we put into ours, and they hate us for it. But that's a you problem. It's not an us problem. Because the reason that we're maybe doing better than you are is because the consumer, the viewer, has chosen to watch our videos over your videos. So it doesn't matter how much time you put into your video, right? You're not getting a return on it. Actually, you should look at yourself and be like, why am I spending so much time on something that doesn't make any money? You know what I'm saying? It's just some friendly advice. Why am I spending so much time on? If I spend more time on this thing, am I going to get more of a return on that time investment or not? Because time is an investment. It's a resource. Am I going to get more of a return, or is it going to have the exact same, results? And if the truth is you're going to get the exact same results, then why would you spend 3 times as much effort on something that's only going to yield this? Again, just saying. And you can feel about however you feel about it, but at the end of the day, people don't care. The general public, and that's the brutally honest truth. The general public's not going to care. They really aren't. Okay, so then I asked him if I could see the time-lapse replay, but he told me he didn't record one. I have made over 700 illustrations using Procreate, so I know for a fact it automatically saves a time-lapse replay. Maybe he felt like he was being wrongfully accused, or that you were trying to set him up. So he just was like, yeah, I'm not doing it for you. Why does he have to show you that? I mean, seriously, why? Just don't buy the print. If you suspect it's AI and you don't like AI, then don't buy it. Why do you have to like grill this guy? Apparently, I'm the second person to bring this up. Since generative AI is strictly against the rules for vendors, shout out to Stacy at the help desk for being absolutely lovely. Oh my God. We went to the help desk because this guy might be selling AI artwork. I'm so incredibly disappointed that someone working for such a large and artistically talented company would stoop so low as to blatantly lie to their customers. I was almost gaslit by him into thinking that he wasn't using AI. Well, he's saying he's not. I just want to tune MU. I just want to reiterate here, Disney's already using AI, and they're using it on a much larger scale than this guy is. And they've been using it. They're just not telling people. They're just not telling people they're doing it because it's their point of view is as long as the consumer consumes it, who cares how it's made? That's the truth. Their trinkets are made by sweatshops overseas. They're filming Mulan next to re-education camps. I mean, they don't care. They're a big corporation. They're going to cut corners where they can cut corners, creative or not. They're a big corporation that gets lucky and has creative people working for them from time to time. That is the truth. And this is coming from a former contracted Disney guy. I understood the deal. The only people who don't understand the deal are people who've never worked for companies like this. I'm just saying, you've got delusions there. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. If you would have told me that I used some generative AI in designing my backgrounds, character art is mine, then it would have been fine. No, I don't think you would have been. I really don't. If you're going to the help desk, to narc on this guy, I don't think you would have been fine with him saying, yeah, I did use some AI. He didn't say that at all. Instead, blatantly lied to me and my mom. If you suspected him of selling AI artwork, why did you buy it? Why did you let your mom buy it? If by some insane miracle he's not lying, is actually not lying about this, I'd love to see a time-lapse sketch or literally any proof that he is not incorporating generative AI. He's right about one thing. This is a witch hunt, except in this case, the witches aren't practicing magic. They're lying, scheming, and stealing from the real magic that is human-made art. Oh, my God. Okay, yeah. You know, if I had somebody get my face like that, too, I'd just be like, I don't have to show you shit. Buy my print or don't buy my print, right? So then the story is going around, and this is coming from Reddit, that they blacklisted this guy. And apparently that's not what happened. So this is the Lorcana subreddit. Update, an employee of the team behind Lorcana confirmed with their creative directors, they confirmed James C. Mulligan had used AI in his card art. Disney will not work with him again and will most likely take legal action after the events of this week. I want to reiterate. Disney's going all in on AI, right? If somebody is going to take action or blacklist him, it's going to be somebody at Ravensburger or, you know what I'm saying? Because Disney is going all in on AI. They've been trying to sneak it past people for years. Remember that Thanksgiving poster where the people were like zooming in and they realized like all the forks and everything were wrong. And then they had the boo to you stuff too. It's just like, it's insane. They've been using it. And we're going back like 2 or 3 years now. They've been using it. They have an entire department. Do you know they're anti-AI people who think that Disney's gonna, get rid of this guy. Do you know that Disney has set up an entire division within the company to explore how they can incorporate generative AI into literally everything they do? This is not an anti-AI company. Quite the contrary. And I'm going to be honest here. Knowing what I know about Walt Disney, I think he actually would be completely fascinated by the technology, because Walt's whole mindset was kind of, one, he was fascinated by technology, but two, he was like, I don't really care how it gets made. I just want to see the end result. So like this company is not going to shy away from AI. It doesn't matter. They might back away from making waves and making announcements because they know that there is a lot of anti-AI sentiment, but they're going to wait for it to die down, just like, NFTs, just like, DEI stuff, just like all this other stuff that, was outrage. And then they're going to quietly do what they need to do to make money. I'm sorry you don't like it. Here's the cold bucket of, I'm not going to gaslight you. I'm just going to tell you that you're dead wrong about Disney. That's all I'm saying. You're dead wrong about Disney. I know exactly where they're at right now with it. And it's quite the opposite of where a lot of artists are. So if you work for Disney in any capacity, if you buy anything from Disney, you're helping them bankroll AI art. I hope you boycott them as hard as people are boycotting J.K. Rowling. All right. So this account, which apparently went MIA. Phi Green, the green nymph. I actually work for the company that makes Disney Lorcana, so I will be bringing this up with my creative directors. We have a hard policy of no AI art in our games, and they'll be able to assess further. However, it's been very common people jump to these conclusions. Okay. Update. So I did check with, so they're all narking on this guy. So I did check in with my director, and it looks like his work is AI. Thankfully, he hasn't worked with us on many sets after Disney notified us of this issue. Disney doesn't care. But they care about bad press, but they don't care about AI. Disney also won't work with him anymore either, and I'm sure will possibly get their legal involved. Yikes. Is that the yikes emoji? So here comes James C. Mulligan. Hi, all. Looks like I became very famous pretty much overnight. Yippee. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, dude. Due to certain unfounded "your art is AI" accusations that seemingly came out of nowhere from a young person that attended an anime show I was at. That grew legs. I've been trying to lay low, but I figured it's about time this needed to be addressed out of respect for all my clients and friends that have supported me through the decades, long before AI was ever a word on the scene. So this guy has been doing Disney art probably for a long time. Disney if you're a contractor and you draw in a Disney style, they tend to keep you in the Rolodex for a very long time. And if you've already been approved, sometimes you can, fast track getting into a project. That actually has happened with me before. I stopped doing Disney comics for years and then had an opportunity come up and they're like, hey, you want to do some? You're already approved. You're already in the system. You don't really have to try out. We're just going to put you on it. And that happens. As the artist in question, I will state definitively that multiple statements made are patently and provably false. First and foremost, that AI was used to create my multiple Lorcana cards, not remotely true, nor have I been blacklisted from working with Disney. I believe him 100% because Disney's going all in on AI. They don't care about your feelings. The quote unquote employee that stated these things deleted their tweet and took their account private almost immediately after making these false statements. I've been awaiting communication from the team at Ravensburger to be given permission to publicly share the layered hand-drawn files of my Lorcana cards, as unfortunately it would be in violation of certain agreements to do so without explicit written permission. So my hands are tied. All I can say is that I have worked in some capacity with Disney for decades, and my years of work will stand up to these accusations. Though, not strangely, an AI detector which came back showing one of my D23 releases from 2014 was 99% AI, a rather humorous but absurd discovery. Yeah, this is what I think is going on too. People are using, okay, so AI is faulty. People are using AI detectors, and the AI detector is too stupid to detect hand-drawn art in a lot of cases, or the art looks like something that AI probably aped, a certain style that AI would have aped. And if the AI is aping, the Disney house style, and this guy works in the Disney house style, yeah, it's going to say, well, this is probably AI because the AI is going to draw a Disney style thing in that style, right? So the AI detectors are not accurate. Same with AI detectors for text and all stuff. They're not accurate. In fact, I guess I'll talk about it here. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but my daughter at school, they thought that she was using AI for her one paper, and she was not. She actually had written the whole thing herself. And we had a young teacher fresh out of college who was accusing her. Well, I ran it through an AI detector. I'm like, bitch, you can go back and see, she typed it in Google and here it is. And she was all upset, and and then so I gave them some other text and had them run it through the AI detector, and it came up the same result. So people are using this like AI detector to try, and this is what happened with the Dungeons and Dragons art from 2014 too, is digital art, and it's not getting it right. So I think that's funny. I think that's really funny. I understand completely the hatred for artists using generative AI and passing it along as their hand-painted creative work. AI has its uses, but AI, in my estimation, ultimately will be an incredibly destructive force for society and humanity as a whole. I did not use it, nor have I received any communication from Ravensburger or Lorcana team accusing me of such. This came from one person speaking on behalf of Lorcana, issuing a tweet that, let me see here, I gotta look here. Issuing a tweet again that was deleted very quickly with no backup or even naming the art director they spoke to. So this is Reddit. So Reddit's like, we still don't believe him. He was laying low by inboxing people making posts with threats of litigation and deleting, physically pulling down tons of pieces that used AI. It was completely innocent, as was all the tracing and signing over other artists' credits. Sure, buddy, he was doing that. He was doing that. I don't know. That's a lot of, like, you got to have some proof. If he's doing that, you got to have some proof, dude. It's coming off as him saving his own ass because he knows he can compartmentalize. Disney won't make an official statement and he can rely on that. No, they're not going to, Disney's not going to issue a statement over one contractor. But I don't think they're going to fire anybody over AI either. It's just my gut feeling. My gut feeling on this is they're actually going to go actively looking for artists who use AI because it speeds up the process and they can pay them less. They can save money. Record profits. Here's the thing. All he is actually saying is that none of his Lorcana work used AI. No words does he say AI was never been used for his other work. It's wordsmith like crazy to ensure that it only talks about the work with Ravensburger and Disney. The original accusation has nothing to do with his cards, just ancillary artwork, which is not addressed in this message. And those works were clearly AI. He probably went on Chat GPT and asked how to get out of the situation. So that's, yeah, they're... But the thing is why would you be fired from, like, look, I mean, this whole thing, if the rule of the convention is you're not allowed to use AI art, and he violated that, and you actually can prove smoking gun, he did violate that rule, then yeah, okay. But to say that they went to try to get him fired from Disney, fired from Ravensburger, over, even if he was using AI for his Artist Alley stuff, that one has nothing to do with the other, right? Actually, the bigger infraction, again, I want to point this out to people. The bigger infraction is if you're selling Disney characters, Marvel characters, Star Wars characters at a convention and you do not have their explicit permission to do so, then yeah, you could be looking at a legal entanglement, right? You're not supposed to sell characters, prints of characters you do not own. And then you can't really claim parody all the time. Basically, the only reason that you're not getting sued by Disney is you're not worth it. If there are some people that have sold a ridiculous number of prints, and they sell a lot of prints, and they probably do hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in business selling prints of characters. And I'm sure they've been contacted by Disney, and in some cases, especially professional Marvel artists, stuff like that, they probably have a deal worked out that, you know, Marvel gets a cut or whatever it is. But nobody's talking about that because they don't want to address the elephant in the room, which is if you're going to start accusing people of art theft willy-nilly, then pretty much all of Artist Alley is art theft. And the law doesn't care if you made it by hand or not. I'm just saying, I'm just putting that out there. So I think a lot of artists are playing with fire, and I really do believe that before it's all said and done, the boomerang effect is going to be that a lot of people that are going to complain about going these witch hunts for AI artists are going to be on the receiving end of a ban on all potential IP theft across the board. That's what I think the end result is going to be. And you can come back to this video in a couple of years when it happens. Because I'm telling you, I think what they're going to do to play it safe, these conventions are just going to be like, you know what? We can't tell what's AI, what's not AI. The sticking point with AI is art theft. Then everybody here is selling stolen art, and we don't want to deal with the potential legal headaches of facilitating that. So we're going to say you're not allowed to sell anything that you don't own. That is what I think is going to happen. I'm just putting it out there. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later. For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.